Good evening, Trine University. You know, when my agency out of New York called me and said, hey, you want to go to Angola, Indiana? I said, don't you mean Angola, Mississippi? He said, no, Angola, Indiana. I'm like, where's that? He said, Google it on your phone. And I did. And I'm like, damn, there is an Angola, Indiana. Not saying that to poke fun, but I didn't know. That's one thing that Bo didn't know. So, thank you for having me. I was touched by what the young lady said earlier, the speaker, about how this university and you donors changed her life. All of you athletes that are here this evening, you should thank God for having people like this in your lives. Now I have to share something with you, and the thing that I want to share with you is this, before I get started tonight, is that God blessed me with a speech impediment. I stutter. Not only that, 2 years ago, he blessed me with chronic hiccups. And I still have them. And I say this when I go around the country and speak. I was just in Las Vegas last week speaking to Cummins Diesel. And I told him, this is something that I do. And I've yet to give this away. I have a suitcase I've been carrying around with me for a year and a half. It has in it, in cash, $75,000. And if anybody can cure my hiccups, you can have it. Y'all laughing, I'm serious as hell. The only time I don't hiccup is when I sleep. And I thank God for that. I'm gonna get over them one day, but right now, I'm at war with them. So bear with me. Between my hiccups and my stuttering, let's hope that we can get out of here in about an hour. Because if they both come on at the same time, we're gonna be here and miss the Super Bowl. I don't watch it, but you all are gonna miss it. So bear with me tonight as I take you down a road of the life of Vincent Edward Jackson. My mother named me after a famous TV doctor. And you younger people, when I say younger, I say from 40 down, probably don't know who this person is. And everybody north of that probably do. He was a TV doctor named Dr. Ben Casey. Vincent Edward was his name. And my mother had a crush on him. So she named me after him. And believe it or not, while I was playing for the Raiders, I got to meet his wife. And she gave me all of his TV medical doctor plaques that was on his wall in his TV office. And I still have those. It's stuff like that that I cherish. If you come to my house, you wouldn't know that an athlete lived there unless you go in my basement or go in my office. Because even when I left high school, I made my mind up, hey, I'm gonna do the best I can and get as much as I can out of these 4 years in college. And this is something for you student athletes. You only got a certain amount of time to do something great. And if you're here, and if you go into Trine University, you got that opportunity. Because you're at that point in your life now where I was, where most of these adults were in their lives when they were at college. And I'm not saying this to be negative, but you students, right now, you're in between that period to where you're gonna make some decisions in your life. Important decisions. Some of them are gonna be good, and some of them are gonna be stupid as all stupid can get. I did it. I'm quite sure you talked to some of your professors, some of your donors here, they probably did it too. But you know something? We made sure that we kept our, should I call it stupidity, in check, to where we knew what was important in life. And the thing that's important in life is you making it to the next level. If you can't do that, then you're wasting everybody's time. I'm the 8th of 10 kids. And when I say I grew up poor, I grew up on the poor side of poor. 1969, 34 degrees outside. You know how I went to school? I had to go 2 blocks to catch the bus. You know how I got to the bus? I sprinted. 34 degrees outside, barefoot, no shoes. My mother worked 2 jobs, cleaning homes and cleaning hotel rooms. I'm the 8th of 10 kids. And I knew I had to be on that bus to go to school. Didn't get my first pair of shoes, my shoes, not hand-me-downs from my brothers, not hand-me-downs from my sisters, but my shoes. 1969. And it was those leather shoes that you see on the TV show, My 3 Sons. Those were my first pair of shoes. And I will remember that for the rest of my life, because that told me that day when that gentleman came in my classroom and took me out of class and took me downtown Bessemer to a store called Sam Picard's and bought me those shoes. I knew then that there was something special in store for me. Now, I didn't know that I was going to get to where I am now, but I knew God had something in store for me because I knew my mother couldn't take the money that she had to pay the light bill with, pay the gas bill to keep the heat on, to buy me shoes. She wasn't a bad mother. The reason I'm standing on this stage is because of her. God called her home 3 weeks after I had hip replacement surgery, which ended my football career. Getting a hip replacement surgery is easy compared to losing the rock in my life. I know she's in heaven because she came back to see me. I was the only one out of 10 that wasn't standing beside her bed when God called her home. Until this day, I'm 61 years old. It bothers me like it just happened 10 minutes ago. In my mother's bedroom, all 9 of my brothers and sisters and my aunt were standing around her bed. Like I said, I was 3 weeks out of hip replacement surgery in April of 1992. She was in Alabama and I was in Illinois. Couldn't travel. And when God called her home, it sort of took a part of me. But you know something? I brushed off I put my boots on, brushed myself off, got up, and I went to rehab. Physical therapy in Arizona. My wife went with me. She stayed out there with me for a solid week. The day she left, which was a Friday morning, I drove her to the airport. That night I went to bed. Turn off all the lights in the house. I can't sleep with lights on. And at 3:27 a.m., I woke up and looked at the clock, 3:27. I noticed a light out of my peripheral vision. And I turned to look, and it's my mom standing beside my bed. Wasn't scared. I said, Mom, what are you doing here? She said, I come to check on you. I come to see if you're all right. I said, I'm doing fine. Everything's okay. She asked about everybody in the family. She told me, she said, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take care of Penny, who is my youngest sister who has a learning disability, and she's gay. And she told me to take care of my second oldest sister, Janet, who is a widower, who has scoliosis. I said, I will do that, Mom. Until this day, those two women don't have a bill. They haven't had to pay a bill since that day, because I told Mom that I would take care of them. She asked about everybody else. I said, I'll make sure I do whatever I can to keep the family together. She told me to lay down and go back to sleep, but before I laid down to go to sleep, I reached out because I wanted to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I reached out and touched her leg and felt my mom's leg. And she said, lay down and go back to sleep. I did. Woke up the next morning in Arizona at 6:30 a.m. In Alabama, that's 8:30 Central. First person I call is my aunt, my mother's only living sister, oldest sister. And her name is Ella. She's a junior high custodial worker. When Mom couldn't provide food for us, she brought food home from the junior high school, leftover pizza, that yellow cake with the chocolate icing on it, those hamburgers that was this thick, about the size of a softball. She brought that home. Rolls. Some days that was all that we had to eat. And some days it was worse than that, where we just had a piece of cornbread and a glass of buttermilk. But I called my aunt and said, her name's Ella, but everybody calls her B. So I called her, she answered. I said, hey, Aunt B, how you doing? And as old Southern people say down south, when you ask them how they're doing, they say, oh, I do, I reckon. Which in layman's term, I recollect I'm doing all right. I waited for about 5 seconds, and I said, guess who I talked to last night? Split second later, my aunt said, I know, because she came to see me too. And nothing else was said, because at that point in time, I knew my mother was all right. She raised all 10 of us the best she could. She was our mom, she was our dad, and I guarantee you that she could give the worst butt whipping than any man could give his kid in this room. Because when she laid the wood, she laid the wood. It was a wood shed type every time. And I know because I got the majority of them. I was the John Gotti of my neighborhood. Car window got broke, a plate glass window got broke, kid got hit in the head with a rock. I did it. And my mother would tell my older brothers and sisters, If you don't catch him, you're gonna take his butt whoop. And every other day, my brothers and sisters would drag me through the neighbor's yard from chasing me back to the house. Neighbors would come outside on their porch with their lunch or dinner just to watch me get a butt whooping in the front yard. But you know what all of that did? That molded me into the man I am now. My father lived across town, but I thought having a father was somebody that came by every two weeks and left $20. I never experienced having a mother and father at home at the same time, or having a mother-father, period. The things that I did experience was having a Christmas with no toys as a kid, not being able to pay my dues for Cub Scout or Boy Scout, not having the funds to get that Boy Scout uniform or to go on that school field trip and stuff like that. And as an adult, the same thing. Here I am, what people would say, the best college player on the planet, one of the top Major League Baseball players in the country, just hit 3 home runs in Yankee Stadium at the same night, running for 250 yards on Monday Night Football. And do you know the thing that I envied the most is my teammates? Because I would sit in my locker after the reporters left and watch my teammates interact with their dad. Something till this day I wish I had. People say, oh, I wish I could have hit 3 home runs in a game. I say, oh, I wish I could sit in my locker with my dad and have him to hold my baseball bat and hold my baseball glove. I sat across the locker room and I envied my teammates because of that. You know what it made me? It made me a better dad. I got 2 sons and a daughter, all college graduates, all got great jobs, and they are this close to being off the payroll. Can't wait. My oldest son and his wife has given me and my wife of 37 years this September 2 beautiful grandkids. Now, for the grandparents in here, tell me, is there anything better than your grandkids? I'm known as Papa. And when my 2.5-year-old comes over, he either want to ride in Papa's GMC truck or my Dodge Ram truck. All he wants to do, besides watch Papa football highlights on TV, Papa baseball highlight, which when I saw that on TV, I'm like, not again. But it's what my grandson wants to watch. So I allow him to do that. And I watch him run around the living room with one of my footballs that he got out of a trophy case, which is a game football. Papa don't mind. He can do whatever he wants. Because you know something? He got to go home. He got to go home. That's my life. What you see is what you get. I dreaded the fact that I had to drive over here, not to come here, but to come here and put on this damn suit. Because I'm usually in my pajamas around 4:30, 5 o'clock every evening, and on the phone talking to my grandson. That's what I enjoy doing now. Last week I double booked something, and I told the people sitting at my table, I said, if I weren't here right now, guess where I'd be? Skinning rabbits with my buddies, because Today I told them that I would go rabbit hunting with them. And I forgot about this event. So I had to call them on Wednesday and say, look, I got to cancel. I got something on my itinerary that's been on my itinerary for 4 or 5 months. So I'm sorry I can't go rabbit hunting, which was the last day of the season. They sent me pictures. You missed it. I don't have a bodyguard. I don't have a driver. I don't have a chef. I've been married to my wife. It'll be 37 years this September. And I can guarantee you, she hasn't cooked 10 meals in 37 years. Not saying that she's a bad cook, but my passion is cooking. So I cook. She wants breakfast, I make her what she wants. She wants lunch, I make her what she wants. She wants dinner, I make her what she wants. That's what I get a kick out of. I get a kick out of raising my family. The reason I didn't go back and play baseball in '94, after the '94 draft, I had 3 professional teams wanted to give me a truckload of money to come play. But during that, during the strike period, that's what I meant, the strike period in '94. During that strike period, I was home for 6 months. And I got the opportunity to do something that I haven't done before. I got the opportunity to take my kids to school. I never did that. Because I was either playing ball, I was either playing football or baseball. Never got that chance. And I did it and I fell in love with it. So when they call and say, hey, the strike's over, you got 3 teams you want to play. I said, I'm not going back. You can't make me go back. But they want to give you this amount of money. It's not that important. What's important is make sure that I'm there for my kids when they need me. And the thing that I'm saying to the young people, to the student athletes here, is that you're 2, 3, or 4 years you got here at Trine is going to be the most important 2, 3, 4 years of your life. Because if you're anything like me, you came here as an immature teenager. But make sure when you leave this place that you leave here a responsible adult. Do the things you have to once you leave here. They will prepare you for what's out there. They can't go out and get it for you. You have to do that yourself. Now, a lot of you all may have noticed or heard on the news this week that I won a lawsuit, $21 million against family members who tried to extort me. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. But you know something? As they say, it happens. I took it in stride. You know why? Because I know who the man is that's standing up on this stage. I know what I can do. I know what I can't do. I know one thing. For every red-blooded man in this room, I'm quite sure you'll say the same thing I say, is that somebody can knock you down every day. You're going to get up, brush yourself off, go on about your business. But when they try to knock down your family members, your spouse, your children, it's time to take the gloves off and put on the brass knuckles. And not saying that's what I did literally, but the thing about it is that everybody told me back when I got out of college and looking to make a nice living for myself, you need to watch out for the world out there. The world, there's wolves out there. There's bad people out there. Nobody told me to look for the same thing within my family. I never thought that it could get to that. But I'm saying this, and the only reason I'm saying this is that I don't wish my success on anybody. Because in this day and age, the more zeros you got behind your name, the bigger your problems. And I'm not saying that to deter anybody. This is just me. To make a long story short, then I'm gonna move on. My nieces and nephew didn't know Bo. And I say that comically because to have family members to try to extort you for something that they want, that's something you work your life for, it's just not right. For myself, I'm happy within myself. I'm here in Angola, Indiana. I said that right, didn't I? Angola, Indiana, speaking to some talented young athletes, speaking to a lot of wonderful boosters here. The reason that we're here tonight is to raise money. And I want to throw my hat in the fundraising with this. I'm a big outdoorsman. I've hunted all over the planet. I fished on half of it. I live in Illinois. I'm a member at a bird hunt lodge in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And for the right price, and this is all going to the university, going to the scholarship fund, I will invite 4 outdoorsmen, male or female, to come hunt with me at my hunting lodge in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But you gotta make a donation because we're here tonight to raise money for Trine University scholarship fund, right? Did I say it right? Did I say it right, Gretchen? See, if I don't say it right, Gretchen has threatened to beat me up after this. So, for 4 individuals, I've done 3 of these this year already, and they were all for charity. I have charities that I do. I have one in my state that's called Bo Bikes Bama. And the reason I do it is because in 2011, a tornado came through my state and stayed on the ground across the whole width of the state. And when it exited into Georgia, we had lost over 350 people to that tornado. I decided then that I needed to do something. So I started my charity that's called Bo Bikes Bama. And what we do, we ride across the state on bicycles one weekend, and we raise funds. And in 12, 13 years, we have raised almost $3 million. We have built over 100 community tornado shelters throughout the state and 60-something tornado warning systems in rural areas. So I know a little about raising funds. The second thing I do is out of Illinois, and it's called the Bo Jackson Give Me a Chance Foundation. And what that does, to make a long story short, since the inception, which is since 2007, my foundation has sent over 40 kids to college, helped them through high school in their sports, got them in college, and one of the first of our students that we had, they're all from low-income families, one of our first students that we had in my organization is now a Southwest pilot. So even after they graduate high school, we set them up for college. We get them that brand new laptop. We get them that brand new iPad. We also monitor them, check on their grades. As long as they keep their GPA up to a certain point, we will continue to help that student get through college. Being it with clothing, help paying their rent, or whatever, paying their tuition, paying for their books. We do that. And I don't talk about it much because I don't want people to think I'm bragging. But if you don't give back, if you don't give to some charity, then you're only living your life. You're not living your life to the fullest. There are things that I've done over the years that no one has a clue about. And usually when I tell people, I say, look, you could tell whoever you want after I've come and gone. And one of the things is the tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. I called a friend after I saw that on the news. And I asked him, could I borrow his jet? He said, what for? I said, I want to go to Texas. He said, why? I said this, and I told him, I said, my only relationship with Uvalde, Texas, is that I drive through there from San Antonio, going to a little town called Camp Wood, Texas, where I go to hunt, go visit a buddy who has a ranch there. But I say I always go through Uvalde, Texas. That's the only way to get there. And when that tragedy happened there with the shooting, I felt the need that I needed to do something. I can't be everything to everybody, but I needed to do something. There's a parent in this room who don't expect their kid to come home from school. And a lot of those parents' kids didn't come home. They had to deal with that. These are low-income families. Nobody expected that. Then they had to deal with the fact of taking care of funeral arrangements and all that. And I said to myself, no. And I'm not telling you this to feel sorry for myself or as I'm bragging. I'm telling you this because this is how I am. Yes, I played football and I played baseball. And everybody loved that. But for me, I get more joy out of putting a smile on somebody else's face by doing things. My buddy and I pooled our funds together, northwards of $170,000, and took that check to Uvalde, Texas, so those parents wouldn't have to pay out of their pockets to lay their children to rest. And I'm not saying that for any type of applause, but that's what you see here. And I don't know And I'm not saying this to be sad or anything, but I don't know, and I'm asking women this. Do men go through menopause? Because that's what I feel like I'm going through. Do men do it? Because I cry at the drop of a hat. I run through 350-pound linemen, 300-pound linebackers. But now, I get so emotional at times. I ask my wife, and she looks at me like this and just shake her head. And I say, I bet you didn't see this coming 30-something years ago, did you? She said, what's wrong with you? Just saw something just on the news. And I'm crying like a little girl with skint knees. So when I say, what you see here is what you get, that's it. If I could talk to you in my pajamas with my Crocs on, I would do that. But like I said, Gretchen threatened to beat me up. Now, one thing that I always do is that I always open the floor up because I want you to be a part of this also. I open the floor up for anybody to ask me questions about anything, and I'll do it for 5-10 minutes. Then we'll move on because I know people want to go home and watch Saturday Night Live and so forth and so on. So do anybody have any questions for me? If you have a question, raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and you stand and ask me the question, and I'll do my best to lie to you about it. So, yes, sir. The most important thing is to stand up here and pour my heart out to you guys like I've just done. And it's easy. He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to be a husband. He taught me how to be a father. He taught me how to go down the road of life and accept the things I can't and change the things that I can. Period. Anybody else? Those suckers got 9. And they say they missed 4, but they said that those were the 4 that you were supposed to get, that I was supposed to get. So yes. Anybody else? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Even if you students got questions, stand up and ask. Don't be afraid. Yes, ma'am. What is my biggest advice for someone about to graduate? Sweetheart, you got to strap it on and go get it. You got to strap it on and go get it. Because out there, it's not going to be given to you. Out there, it's not going to be given to you. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. And I say that from the standpoint is that every day I get up, take a shower, go downstairs, drink a cup of coffee, and go to my office. And if I don't do that, I'm going to be stuck beside the road, dead on the side of the road. So you got to go out and get it. Be the first one there and the last one to leave. Answer your phone when nobody else won't. I say the same things to my kids. That's why they are this close to being off that payroll. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. I met my wife. I was a junior in college, and I just had shoulder surgery on this shoulder, and I was in a sling going down the hall, past my psychology class. She was standing in the door with the psychology professor. I was a junior. She was back at college after 6 or 7 years to start on her doctorate. So I married an older woman. I married a cougar. And I saw her in the lobby of the building that day, and she was putting up flyers. And I walked over and spoke to her, talked to her, and I asked her for her phone number. She didn't give it to me, so I did some research and found it on my own. Called her and we talked for about a month before she decided to go out on a date with me. And after that date, the rest is history. I haven't been able to get rid of her for 37 years. But we met in college. She is now a retired doctor, brain assessment therapist at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab in Chicago. And she's enjoying her grandsons. So she's, how old is my wife is 6 years older than me. Wouldn't have it no other way. Yes, ma'am.
About how the college sports are going nowadays with the NIL.
Of course I can make comment on it. The thing that, the whole NIL thing, I think there's gonna have to be some changes made, because what's going on now, only thing that NIL is doing right now is teaching kids how to run away from their problems. That's all that it's doing. And it's like, and it's not that I'm mad or jealous, but when we were in college, an alumni couldn't buy us a Coke. You got kids driving $300,000 sports cars around campus now. And when things don't go their way, they want to enter the transport portal. I would say this, and I'll be the first to stand up to say it. There needs to be some changes. First of all, now this is me speaking, not nobody else. I'm not speaking for a group or organization. This is me, myself. Something needs to happen within the NIL system to where all this money that they're throwing at these kids, it needs to go into a trust. These kids need to be given a stipend, and they can't touch that trust money until they graduate from that university or finish their sports career, period. Freshmen and sophomores should not be able to enter the transport portal. After the sophomore year, yes. And if my college is going to give you a boatload of money to play sports, and you get your feelings hurt, and you're going to transport, and you're going to go in the transport portal after the season, after I've given you $2 million, you can go. But the $2 million is staying with the university, which shuts down the transport system. It's simple. Somebody has hooked the cart up before the horse. And it's not working right. It's not working right. I'm happy that kids are getting money, but it's backwards the way they got the system set up. And something needs to change. That's all. Something needs to change. And that lady that asked that question is an orthopedic nurse. Yes, sir. I like the sport. I answered this for somebody earlier. I like the sport of picking up my paycheck. Now that's a sport that I'm a Hall of Fame at. Yes, sir. My nickname is Bo, which is short for boar hog, which is a wild pig. And I changed it from boar to Bo when I got to college because it wasn't cool. So my brothers and cousins, when I was younger, I always played sports with the older kids. So I had to play at their level. So by the time I got to high school, I was playing at such a level, and I'm not making this up. You could hear the parents of the other team that we were playing yelling, "Get that man off the field with our children." So they say I was tough like a wild boar. And that's how I got Bo. I just took the AR off because it wasn't cool. Time for 1 to 2 more questions. You got to speak up, young man. I see your hand. Will I what? How much money you got? All right. You got some of that NIL money? Because I'll take it. I need some gas in my car. Anybody else got a question?
Over here, bro.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think your mom would say today about the impact you made on others, and why should people make that same impact on students?
I tell you this. See, why did you have to ask me that? She asked me, what would my mom think of the things I'm doing now to help others? You know what I say? I wish she was here to ask me that herself or to tell me what she thought. You got me on that one. All right. That menopause period is gone. One more question.
Well, who's the first person you're going to call and brag about Trine University to?
First person that I'm gonna call?
Brag about Trine University.
My wife. I'm gonna call my wife. And I would say this. I don't know tonight if my speech was a little weird or whatever, but the reason I accept this invitation to come here was because it's for the scholarship, because you're raising funds for scholarship kids to make them better. And I say this, if God didn't bless me to run like a spook deer, I wouldn't be up here right now. I would probably be retired military. I know where, which isn't bad either. But I know if it wasn't for the scholarship that I got to go to college, I wouldn't know what the inside of a college looked like. So thank you, everybody, boosters, alumni, local business people. Thank you for donating to this fund. Let's try to, actually, I like to do things different. I want this year, since I'm the speaker, I want it to be the biggest raise of the school history, period. I like to do things big. If we can do things to help young kids make it in this world, we need to do it. That's why I say, 4 people. Now I'll tell you what but my last trip like that went for, and I'm not saying this to scare you, donate what you can, but I had 4 guys out of Nashville, Tennessee. And they do things a little bigger down there in Nashville. But these guys, just to come up, and this is their 2nd year that they've done it. They've enjoyed it so much they came back for a 2nd time. And in 2 years, they donated to a local charity almost 50 grand. Almost 50 grand. I'm not saying you all could do that, but like I said, every dollar counts. Every dollar counts. I want to say congratulations to your girls softball team. won the national championship. Go out and win another one. Go out and win another one. Don't settle for just one. Hell, go out and get another. Be greedy, be selfish. And I say that for every other athletic team here. Go out and be selfish. When you step on that field or the basketball court, the thing that I do is when I did that when I played, once I stepped across that white line, in my mind, I was the baddest SOB on that field. You all should look at it the same way. Go out and do what you do. It's not about you, it's about the team. And if you can convince your teammates to play at a higher level, do it. Because you know who's going to benefit from it? Everybody in this room. Trine University is going to benefit. So young athletes, keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, do the best you can to represent Trine University. Because the reason that you're here is because of all these great people that do things for you. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Take this opportunity and climb to the top of the mountain. Do the things you should, and once you get up to that top of the mountain, reach down and help somebody else come up there. Everything will be great after that. You have to believe in yourself. And like I said earlier with the boosters and everybody here that's donating, thank you for doing your part. And since I've been here, I'm going to damn sure do my part. So anybody that want to bid on that 4-day hunt, which will be next winter, get in touch with Gretchen.
Could you give some details?
4 individuals, preferably on a Saturday or Sunday. It's Halter Wildlife in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is 30 minutes north of O'Hare Airport, right off of 294. So if you know where that is, then you know it'll take approximately, from here, it'll probably take about 3.5 hours to 4-hour drive to get there. And you could come over and spend the night, and we can go to dinner the night before, or you can drive over that morning, and we go out around 10 o'clock, hunt for about 2.5 hours, come back in, eat lunch. If you want to take processed birds home, we got everything from pheasant sticks to pheasant pot pies to smoked pheasants. We have it all right there at the lodge. So you can take what you want home and so forth and so on. If you don't have a shotgun, I got more guns than the Taliban. Come on, we can go. So yes, it's a 1-day. You can come over the night before, we'll go to dinner and get up that next morning and drive up the road, or you can just drive over from here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We can do that right now. We can auction that off while you're still here. You
Sure,
want to do that?
sure.
I'll go ahead and...
We're going to auction that hunt off right now.
Okay, we're going to do a little differently. We're going to kick it off with the Bo Jackson hunting expedition. Michael, it's a little early, but can I pull you up here? Because I will not do it as well as you do. So it's going to be a little different, but what a generous opportunity. Thank you so much.